Hey Valley Middle, welcome back to another lesson. Tonight we'll begin Chapter 9 on probability for a series of lessons. It's been a snowy month in Minnesota. Trivia question tonight is, what was the largest snowfall in the history of the state? Tonight officially our target is 9.1a. I can express the probability of a simple event as a fraction in simplest form. Let's do this thing. I made up this spinner to see who buys lunch on Fridays, Mr. Persons or me. If the spinner lands on red, he buys lunch. If the spinner lands on blue, I buy. What is the probability that I will have to buy lunch? Express the answer as the simplest form, or as a fraction in simplest form. All right, so there are a total of 4 places the spinner could land. 3 of those places, Mr. Persons will buy lunch. So here's the probability of Mr. Persons buying lunch, 3 out of 4. The question asks for what is the probability that I will have to buy lunch? Well, blue, there's only 1 out of 4 possibilities that I will buy lunch. So the answer is 1/4. That is in simplest form too. Is this game fair? No. It would have to be blue, blue, red, red. So there's a 50-50 chance if it was going to be fair. Don't get me wrong, this is a great game, but it's not fair. All right, some must-know words. First of all, outcome. Outcome is any one of the possible results of an action. When I roll this die up here, I could get a number of possible outcomes. I could get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. Those are outcomes. Probability is a chance of an event happening. Oftentimes we abbreviate probability as just P. Like here, what is the probability of rolling a 1? Well, I could roll a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or 6. So there's 6 possible outcomes, and only one of them is a 1. So my chances are 1 in 6. What is the probability of rolling a 1 or a 2? Well, now I have 2 chances out of 6, but I have to express that in simplest form, which is 1/3. Finally, complementary events. Complementary events are all the other events. My chances of rolling a 1 out of 6, or rolling a 1, are 1 chance out of 6, or a fraction 1/6. The complementary events, that's 5 out of 6. That's all the other possibilities. That's rolling a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or 6. Those would be complementary events. Okay? Complementary events will be covered much more clearly in a later lesson, but I want to introduce it tonight. Let's work through some examples. All right. What is the probability of the spinner landing on black here? Well, the first step we have to do is make sure we understand what the problem is asking for. P, black. They want to know what the probability of landing on black is. So we have to figure out how many possible outcomes there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots the spinner could land. So that's the total number of possible outcomes. The number of favorable outcomes for black is 1. Okay, so you put the denominator, the possible number of outcomes here. Figure out how many of the possible outcomes are favorable. That becomes the numerator up on top. So there's 1 chance out of 8. Is this in simplest form? Yes. Whenever you have a 1 on top, you're in simplest form. All right, your turn. Using the same spinner, I want to know what the probability of landing on red is. Go ahead and pause the video and figure out your answer. All right, let's see how you did. Well, there are 4 red spots that the spinner could land on, so the number of favorable outcomes is going to be 4. The number of possible outcomes is still 8. It's unchanged. So is this your answer? No. We have to express it in simplest form. If we divide the numerator and the denominator both by 4, we get it down to 1/2, which is in simplest form. All right, let's work through another example. We're back to rolling dice. What is the probability of rolling a number that's greater than 2? All right, so here, I expressed it in mathematical language, probability of a number greater than 2. First of all, we need to figure out how many possible outcomes there are. And this becomes the denominator again. So I could roll a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or 6. So just like before, 6 total outcomes possible, the denominator. Now, number 2, how many of the possible outcomes are favorable? Well, a number greater than 2, that could be a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. So it's actually 4 out of 6 would be favorable, numbers greater than 2. Of course, you have to express that in simplest form, which is 2/3. All right, your turn. Using the same die, what is the probability of rolling an odd number? Go ahead and pause the video and work it out. Okay, let's see how you did. Well, there are 3 odd numbers, 1, 3, and 5. There's still a total of 6 possible outcomes, so it's 3 6. Put in simplest form, that's 1/2. All right, one more question. Here we've got a tasty example. There are a dozen cookies in this jar. There are 3 chocolate dipped sugar cookies. Those are those guys. There are 3 chocolate chip cookies. They're hidden back here. And 2 M&Ms and 4 butterscotch cookies. If you chose a cookie without looking, what is the probability of choosing a butterscotch cookie? All right, same steps as before. We want to know what the probability of a butterscotch cookie is. So we have to figure out how many possible outcomes there are. Well, they said there are a dozen cookies, so we can put 12 down here. That's the number of possible. Or you could add up 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 4 if you want to as well. Still, we have 12 possible outcomes. Next, figure out how many of them are possible outcomes are favorable. Well, there are 4 butterscotch cookies, so there's really 4/12 chance of pulling out a butterscotch cookie. When we reduce that, we have a 1/3 chance because that's in simplest form. This one's a little bit tricky, and it's now your turn. What is the probability of choosing a cookie with some chocolate in it? Go ahead and pause the video. Let's see how you did. Well, actually, there are 8 different choices because all of the other cookies have chocolate in it. There's chocolate dipped, there's chocolate chip, and M&M. So we have a total of 3. 3 is 6, and 2 more makes 8. So you have 8 out of 12 chances of choosing a cookie with some chocolate in it. Is that in simplest form? No way, man. Simplest form would be 2/3. All right? I think you're ready for the ticket to the show. Take a look at this spinner here and solve these 2 questions. What is the probability of an odd number? And then what is the probability of an even number greater than 2? Don't forget, express these in simplest form, and I'll stop just for a minute. Take a look at the spinner. Okay. Our ticket to the show. Our just for fun question. What was the largest snowfall in the history of Minnesota? Crazy. The maximum snowfall in one 24-hour period was 36 inches. This is in January 7th. This is up near Finland, Minnesota. It's up in this area here along the North Shore, north of Duluth, almost to Grand Marais. What was the maximum single storm snowfall? Well, this was 46.5 inches, but it happened January 6th through January 8th, 1994. So it was the same snowfall. So in one snowfall in one day, they had 36 inches, but in the 3-day event where it just continued to snow, they had 46.5 inches. That's almost as much snow as we've had this year already. Crazy. All right. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you in school.